Okay, looks like we're streaming live.
Okay. uh, Sorry, I was on Facebook trying to see.
No, no problem.
Okay, here we go. All right, welcome everybody. Seems like it's been a while. Um, Probably because I was out of town looking at buildings in Edinburgh, Scotland, and giving a seminar on concrete restoration. I invited Martin, but he was too busy, so that's all right because I would have had to buy extra euros or whatever the monetary situation was. But this is Lance Luke, Martin Pea, Ask the Building Expert Masterclass Webinar Series. We're kind of deviating a little here from talking about local specific building topics, and we're going to talk about something very broad that affects the entire United States. And the topic is the infrastructure report. ASCE stands for American Society of Civil Engineers, and every year they put together a report. And we'll be talking about the report from the most recent report, 2025. And it's been kind of interesting because a lot of times when the report's issued, various agencies of the government want to argue and say, no, that's not correct. Where did you get your facts from and all that? So, but let me give you some more information before I get started. This webinar is presented by Construction Management Inspection, which is a Hawaii-based firm doing construction management and building inspections, although we would go to other parts of the U.S., mainly West Coast cities, to do work. Portland, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Seattle, San Diego. I think we go as far as Las Vegas. But if there's special opportunities, we'll be happy to check into that. Let me go over some of these slides here. Okay, here we go. We're talking about the infrastructure report. Oh, I forgot. Today is actually National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day. So don't forget to grab your cookie. In fact, I have a complaint. Last week I went online and on my computer, and you know where it says accept cookies? I clicked that, and then my cookies haven't arrived yet, so I'm not sure what to do about that. Maybe I'll check with my IT department and see. I really like chocolate chip cookies, but all right, let's get off the subject of cookies and talk about what things really matter. Well, what are we talking about here? Why are we even doing this webinar, master class? ASCE, American Society of Civil Engineers, and that's the association, society that puts together this report. And the report covers a lot of interesting components. And we'll be talking about those components very shortly. Some of it could be roads, some of it could be bridges, maybe a wastewater or stormwater system, things like that. So, like when you're in grade school, you take certain classes, and every quarter or semester you get a report card, right? So this is a report card to the United States government and other entities on the investigation and basic synopsis of what's happening with the infrastructure. Now, it's independent and it's an engineering-based assessment. Identifies safety risks and system failures, helps prioritize infrastructure funding. So if we don't know, like let's say bridges, if we don't know what the condition of our bridges are, how do we know how much money we need to fix our bridges? Okay, so this study actually helps in that respect. Let's talk about key findings from the 2025 report. Many systems remain aging or near failure. Deferred maintenance remains a major issue. Climate impacts increase infrastructure stress. Now, let's talk about putting all this information aside, all this data. Let's put it aside, and I'll ask you, when you drive around anywhere, what do you think the condition of the roads are, right? Good, bad, partly good, bad in some areas. There's a bunch of potholes. Okay, those are things that you can actually see. There's other things that you cannot see, like the condition of the bridges or wastewater treatment plants, stormwater systems, and that kind of thing. So that's why this report comes in handy. There's a specific grading system, and I'll explain that. It's sort of like when you're in school, you get grades. So when someone says, did you get good grades? Well, that's kind of subjective, but we think good grades are A's and B's. So the grading system that we're talking about here, grades range from A, which is excellent, to F, which is failing. And the criteria is based on the component, condition, capacity, funding, and risk. Unfortunately, the most infrastructure grades remain in the C to D range. So if you're a student, no matter what school, private, public, whatever, and you got grades that were C and D, although it's passing, that's not really good. So if we say the condition of our roads throughout the United States are in the C and D grade range, that's not really that good. Okay, so I would say, well, maybe it's in fair to poor condition or something like that. Okay, so here's the actual report card with the grades, category and grades. Aviation, airports, and that kind of infrastructure, D+. Good thing our airplanes aren't rated D+. I would be scared to fly. How about our bridges? Guess what? C, average. Broadband, internet, service, C+, not too bad. Above average. Our dams, this is a not too good grade. It's a D+. And I know there's some areas where there's a huge water shortage, and I think there's a lawsuit about the Colorado River because this developer is building a data center and they want to tap water from the Colorado River, and the developer's suing the government because he's claiming he has the right to use the water. That's a whole nother webinar talking about data centers. So maybe we'll add that to the list. Drinking water, C-. Energy, D+. Hazardous waste, C. Inland waters, C-. So as you can see, these grades aren't really that good. And what does it mean? That means we're not really paying attention and putting enough money into maintaining and fixing, these major components. Continuing on, levees, D+, ports, which is, your whole coastal areas where the shipping containers, the big ships, and even the cruise ships, all those ports. B, well, that's pretty good. Public parks, C minus. The rail, B minus. Well, that's not too bad. Now, this is not taking into consideration the Honolulu rail because the Honolulu rail is not built yet. So um, we'll see what happens. And then our famous roads, D plus. That's a very low score. Here's something very bad. Schools. Our schools are rated D plus. And in Hawaii especially, I can accept that grade. I would even say it's the rating for specific to Hawaii should be lower than a D plus. Solid waste C plus, stormwater's D. Stormwater is every time it rains, where does the water go? That's the stormwater condition. And then transit is your bus system and so forth. Rated D, wastewater D plus. So add up all these grades together and do an average. The overall grade is C, which is passing. In my opinion, that's still not too good. It should probably be B, but the argument there is, well, where's the money to fix all this stuff? Okay, so therein lies the problem. For discussion purposes, let's talk about critical areas of concern. Roads, bridges, and transit systems, problematic. Drinking water and wastewater infrastructure, problems also. And there's reports of Iranian people contaminated drinking water in some areas, but hasn't been really proven yet. Energy grid and public facilities. As you know, especially in Hawaii, the cost of energy keeps going higher and higher, right? And are we getting continuous electrical service? No, I'm getting reports from all over the place, especially like East Oahu, where the lights are dimming and electricity is not flowing properly. Also, climate resilience and aging materials. Okay, that's another factor. What are the recommendations for improvements based on this study? And by the way, these recommendations have been pretty much the same for the past 20 years, okay, or maybe even longer. Okay, increase long-term infrastructure investment. Every year it's the same thing. We need more money. The budget is too low. How come the budget keeps getting cut? Right? What's the reason? Next, focus on preventative maintenance. Upgrade systems for climate resilience. Improve accountability and planning. Now, let's talk about the roads. When you have heavy rain and there's potholes and the potholes get fixed and everyone's happy. But the fact of the matter is the repair of a pothole is only a temporary patch. It's not permanent. Okay, so putting money into continuous fixing of potholes may not make any sense when it's time to, redo the entire road, whether it's replacing the road or doing another application of asphalt, maybe 1.5 to 2 inches over the existing. Okay, so we'll see what happens. What's the impact on communities and homes? Like, you might ask, well, okay, it's fine and good. The freeway needs work. There's cracks. The wastewater system may need help, but let the government handle that. What is the impact on communities, or what's the impact directly on us as homeowners, whether we live in a condo, apartment building, or single family house? How are we affected? Okay, so here's where you're affected. There's safety risks and service disruptions. So if you keep losing power, you don't have electricity, or your water's contaminated, or there's sewer backup somewhere. You have a big pipe in the main road that bursts because it's way too old, right? And now the road's shut down and you're stuck in traffic. This is part of the problem. Okay. Also, higher repair, insurance, and maintenance costs. And then funding decisions affect local communities. So this is a reason why things don't get fixed. If you ask, like, let's take the school buildings. School buildings are old. A lot of classes still don't have air conditioning. Some areas the roof leaks. Well, why? How come it's not being fixed? Well, because there's no money to fix it. That's what the government's saying. It wasn't budgeted, or it was budgeted, and somehow the politicians cut the budget from 1 billion to 200 million or something. So there's not enough money to go around to fix everything. That's what the problem is. The problem is not, oh, we don't know what to fix. It's been known already what the condition of all the buildings and all the infrastructure. All you got to do is pull up each year's study that we're talking about, and it's right there. Okay, so it's not a case of we don't know what to fix. It's a case of there's no money to fix these things. Okay, so I kind of briefly breezed through this in a nutshell. I didn't want to go into specific details because if you're interested in that, you can read the study. I just wanted to give you a kind of broad general idea of what's happening so you're aware. When you're driving around on the surface roads, on the freeway, you're driving over a bridge, you don't have internet connection, or there's some other issue going on, at least you're more aware now that there's more information and data available to you. So the key takeaways here: the infrastructure condition affects daily life. So even if you don't use a bridge in Haleiwa, because maybe you don't go to Haleiwa that often, you're still gonna pay for it through your tax dollars. Okay, so these things, and the sooner things are repaired, the cheaper it's going to cost. So let's say to fix a bridge costs $1 million. Okay, I'm just giving an example. It's actually more than that. But $1 million today. If it's not fixed this year, and it's going to be fixed next year, or they kick the can down the road and they said, okay, it's on our schedule to fix in 2028. Do you think the cost is going to be $1 million in 2028? The answer is no. It's going to be more because guess what? There's increase in costs for materials, building materials, concrete, rebar, and all that. And surprise, there's going to be an increase in cost of labor. Okay, so it doesn't pay to wait to fix things. You're saving money if you're fixing things now rather than waiting too long and things get worse. So that's why the second bullet point here is delayed action increases long-term costs. That's pretty much a known thing. It's not like subjective or fake news or anything. Okay, so the other thing I tell people when I give seminars is think about going to the grocery store a year ago and buying three items: bread, milk, and eggs. 1 year ago. And go to the grocery store today and buy those same three things. Okay? Are those same three items more expensive now? Or were they more expensive back a year ago? And of course, most people are going, well, it's more expensive today. Okay, well, that's my point. Over time, the cost increases. It's not getting any cheaper. Just like in the 60s, what was the cost of a house in the 60s compared to a cost today? Inflation, right? And especially in Hawaii, they're not making any more land. You can't get any more land. Well, it could be when the volcano erupts and the lava flows down into the ocean and it creates more land, right? But you can't live on that land. So that's my point. The other thing is proactive investment reduces risk and failure. So it's similar to, you live in your house. Let's say you live in your single family house. If your roof leaks and you go, well, I think I'll just put a tarp over it. Eventually the wind's going to blow the tarp away, or the tarp's going to get weathered, and you have your roof still leaking, right? So, and if you wait too long, things are going to get worse. There's consequential damages like, your drywall, your furniture's getting wet, things like that. So it's always better to take action now than to wait. And that's basically the point here. I want to make you guys aware of these major components that's called infrastructure, and what are we doing about it. And I know it's an election year coming up, and every politician has their own story of why people should vote for them and what they're going to do and all that. So it's pretty interesting. You get more communication talking to politicians now because they want your vote, rather than when they get in, what's the chances are they're going to be listening to you at that time, right? Do you have to write a check to make a campaign donation for them to listen to you? They should be listening to you anyway. So anyway, that's kind of my take on this thing, and I want to open it up for some questions if anybody has. By the way, we're restreaming this webinar. So in other words, we're broadcasting it live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So if you're not on a webinar platform, you can watch it, or you're probably watching it from these other social media platforms. And if it's not live, right, you're not watching the live version, you can always post something, a comment or questions, and we'll be happy to read it and respond to you when we can. So that's what we try to do. We try to provide information that would be helpful for you, a better understanding of things, and also answer your questions. If you don't have any questions but you have a comment, that's fine. Also, if you have ideas on future webinar topics, we're very interested in that. And by the way, the reason that this webinar is being given is because somebody had mentioned, hey, Lance, you talk about like condo buildings and roofing and specific items like that. Why don't you talk about, like, when I drive around town, I'm running over potholes, or I pass a parking deck and I see concrete pieces falling down. Or, I hear all these water main breaks. How come the water main breaks so much? Well, because it's old and nobody's fixing it. It's like, oh, if it doesn't break, I think it's still good. So we're just waiting for things to happen, and then we take action. So it's a reactive approach rather than a proactive approach. A proactive approach would go, hey, you know what? Based on this study, um, I see some uh, big water lines on Dillingham Boulevard that's super old. I think we should dig it up and replace it. Well, that's a good idea, but there's no money. So you know what? We'll wait till there's a water main break and then we'll fix it then. Okay, so that's part of the problem. It's a reactive approach, but at least it's getting fixed. But it costs a lot of money because it's emergency, right, to do that. So I see Martin is eager to comb the um, social media platforms and Zoom platforms and get our questions ready. So, Martin, let's see what kind of questions we have. Let me go to. Oh, before that, sorry, I'm jumping the gun. I was so excited to get to the questions. What you miss? What you miss is we've given over 100 webinar master classes already. It's all on our website, and it's free. And you don't need a subscription. You just go to our website and pick which one you want and watch it. Now, if you don't want to watch it and you want to listen to it, you just click on and you get the audio version. Okay, so that's good. And then what's coming up? We got other topics that we're going to be discussing in the future, and those are listed on our website as well. The Florida building collapse, we're going to be talking about that, as well as some other interesting topics. So go to our website. You may say, well, what is your website? We built a brand new website, and it's askbuildingexpert.com. So that's a brand new website. We spent thousands of dollars rebuilding because I wasn't happy with the old one. And we got a lot of good things on our website. We even have expert websites that we call. So it's websites within a website on specific topics like asphalt, fire life safety, construction topics, or contractor licensing, railing, electrical, spalling repair, those kind of things. It's all free. We have our National Building Expert blog that people read. It's interesting. I got readers all over the U.S. and all over the world reading the information, and I'm happy to share the information so people can better maintain their buildings, and they know what's going on, what the components are. It's a whole learning process. So we have our webinars all listed. You don't need a Netflix account or any paid thing. It's all free. And then we also have books here. By the way, I just before we went on live, I was telling Martin I just published book number 100. So it's all on Amazon, $14.95. But a lot of books, we're not selling it. I just decided to publish it to provide the information. In fact, the book How Safe Is Your Building? I was in Phoenix in July, and I got a award for that book. The book was selected. It's a Impact International Book Award that I got. So I got my 10-pound trophy, and man, I almost had to carry it on in my luggage as a carry-on, because I put it in my check-in luggage and it almost exceeded the weight. So that was a close call. But anyway, the book is available free. If you can't get it on the site, contact us and we'll be sure to send you the PDF. But be sure to read it too. We are also I wrote a book about the Lahaina fire and also monster houses if you're interested. I know monster house topic just recently came up in the news. So here we go. You got questions, we got answers. Lance Luke, my phone number is listed. If you're not looking at your screen, it's 808-754-3425. By the way, that's my mobile number. How many people give out their mobile numbers? Usually, oh, here's my office number. You call it and then you got to leave a message, right? So, and then email lanceluke@hawaiibuildingexpert.com. So we make ourselves available because we're here to help. Okay, I'll turn it over to Martin, see if we have any questions from our fine audience. Sometimes the audience is listening and they understand everything I say, so they don't have any questions. But other times, I may not have explained things properly, and they may have a question, which is fine. And I'll be happy to, repeat or clarify something. I don't have any issue with that. So, Martin, are you still awake?
Yes, Lance, I'm still awake, still here.
Okay,
And
good.
we have received a few questions here. But before I ask that, I had one of those questions that kind of pop up, yeah. Is you mentioned that the ASCE issues this report every year, yeah. My question is, who receives the report to do things about this? Does our government get this every year, and
Yeah.
the whoever else, yeah, in order to take some action?
Yeah, government agencies get this report. A lot of different other people get this report. There's professors from universities all over the world that get this report. In fact, when I was in Edinburgh, Scotland in June giving my seminar, I got to meet a lot of university professors from all over the world. I was kind of taken aback that these well-known, renowned professors that are like deans of the engineering department out of their respective university came to this conference and also gave seminars, and I got to network with them and meet them, and we had people from at least 50 different countries there: Japan, China, Italy, London. I mean, I'm so used to going to events that are like within the United States and seeing people from all over the world, like the concrete show they have in Las Vegas every year, but these are boots on the ground people, contractors and some engineers. They're not like high rated professors from these prestigious universities. So I'm like, wow, this is it's almost like I'm thinking I kind of don't belong here because I don't chair engineering school from a prestigious university. But people were happy to talk to me because it's something about Hawaii. Oh, you're from Hawaii. Oh, Hawaii doesn't have spalling. And I'm like, okay, come to my seminar and you learn about what's going on with our climate here. So, yeah, it's very interesting. So back to your question, yeah. So all these professors get a copy. Contractors who work on government projects, procurement stuff, will get one. Anybody who wants a copy can get one. I got one. Also, all the members of the American Society of Civil Engineers get a copy. So there's thousands of copies of the report all over the place. Every government gets the copy, and I'm sure the White House got a copy. If not, I'll send one to President Trump and be sure he reads it or something. So, anyway, let's go talk about the questions.
Very good, very good. Well, now I know why you're not only the Hawaii building expert and the national building expert, but now you're actually an international building expert.
Oh yeah, you know what's interesting is because of that I just created a website, and I think it's almost finished, and it's the International Building Expert website. And so all the different places I visited, all the countries, I can say I inspected buildings in those countries that I visited. And I have photos, right, of these Barcelona, Spain, Lisbon, Portugal, Madeira, Portugal. Um, yeah, right now I'm making a list because I kind of forgot the places, but I recently wrote a book and published a book about building problems in Edinburgh, Scotland. And because I was there, boots on the ground, I go catch a Uber and say, take me to this address, and I go walk around and take pictures and stuff so I can, write my little report. So I've written books about older buildings, ancient buildings in Italy. I wrote about the Eiffel Tower in Paris, Sagrada Familia, the church in Barcelona. Although, when I was in the Sagrada Familia, when you typical tour, right? You take a tour and then there's one way to get out, and the exit is right through the store, right? So you buy souvenirs and all that. So I actually spent time looking at the books that were written by Sagrada Familia, and they were excellent with photos and all that. But I wrote the book based on from an engineering perspective, right? Which none of the other, some of them were more tourist related and stuff. But anyway, what other books I wrote? Grenfell Tower in London. I wrote about the fire, and then I wrote another book about the Hong Kong fire. So I'm putting all those books on the website too. So that's probably another reason for me to travel more, so I can go look at other buildings. So anyway, sorry about going off on a tangent, but let's take a question here.
Yeah, let's hit these questions here. Okay, the first one we've got is what is the ASCE infrastructure report card, and why should the public pay attention to it?
Well, it's not like your report card, when you're in school. The public doesn't want to see it, especially if you got low grades, right? But the report card is basically a checkup of the America's infrastructure, the entire United States, every city, every state that has infrastructure. The report is based on that. So every 4 years, the civil engineers look at the systems that we depend on every single day, even if we're really not aware of it, right? So what's included are, like I mentioned, our roads, bridges, water systems, energy, transit, schools, and other infrastructure. So all these are very important because we need more money to fix these things. So that's another reason why the report card, the study was done, because it's another evidence to the government saying, look, here's a report done by engineers, and it's not fake news. This is real stuff. So if we tell you we need $10 billion for this item, it's true. And if you don't fix it today, it's going to be 20 billion next year. Okay, so something like that. So specifically in 2025, which is last year, by the way, the American Society of Civil Engineers are meeting, I think, next week to talk about the 26 what they're going to study. But the um, entity evaluated 18 different categories and gave the country an overall grade of C, which is passable, right? Passing. The actually an improvement, because in 2021, the last time they did this report, it was a C minus. So we're gradually getting better from a C minus to a C. But the grade C still tells us that there's still, work to do. There's still improvements. And why does this matter? It matters because infrastructure is something all of us use, whether you're driving to work, turning on your water, or turning on electricity. These systems all have a direct connection to our daily lives. Unless you live in a cave, you don't need to worry about this report at all. But I don't think that's the case. So hopefully that answers that question.
Yes, it does. Very well, thanks. And for our next question is here, kind of follow up to what you just mentioned a little bit. When the ASCE gives infrastructure a C or D grade, what does that really mean in real world terms?
Well, it doesn't mean that the infrastructure is failing, right? What it means is that the report rates the infrastructure as average or mediocre. Um, when I talk about the word mediocre, remember there's this old Greek philosopher, and he's called Mediocrities. You ever heard of that guy? He just accepts everything and he doesn't want to improve. So we don't want to be like that, okay? So that means the systems are working, but there's significant concerns that need to be addressed. Like once you get into the D range, it's basically poor condition, and a lot of these components are at risk. So all these grades aren't based just on one thing. There's a lot of different criteria. There's 8 criteria that goes into the rating. Okay, so we're talking about condition, capacity, funding, maintenance, public safety, resilience, future needs, and innovation. So the grade gives us a much bigger picture of how that infrastructure is actually performing. So it could be that if there's let's say some bridges, but there's no money to fix it, right? Then the grade gets lower because of that. So it's just all a, report card thing. And this information is to be believed. Now, there's a lot of government officials that want to protect their job or whatever, and they go, I don't believe in this study, this is BS, and where are you guys getting the information from, and things like that. So it's interesting because certain things can be proven fast. Like, look at our condition of our roads, all these potholes and all that. Look at the pictures or video. The bridges, it's a little harder. You'd have to like climb down or go on the bank to really inspect, or go in a boat to look at the bridge condition. So I don't expect the general public to be doing that. In fact, there's a lot of infrastructure that's secured. You can't just go and walk into a Hawaiian Electric power plant or go look at the board of water. It's all locked down for security and safety reasons. So that's why the engineers that are doing the study have to get permission and make appointment and things like that. So the general public doesn't have all the details. That's why we depend on this report to tell us what's going on. And if you ask me, well, do you believe everything in the report? And I would say, yes, I do. Some things could be subjective, but for the most part, I've been reading these reports as it comes out for the past 20 years, and I'm glad there's a report like this because it keeps everybody on their toes, and it keeps people and the entities and the departments accountable. If there was no report or audit, then people can just do whatever and say everything's good. So why worry, right? Oh, how come you guys are worried about our schools? Everything's fine. Nothing's wrong. So when they say that to me, I'm going, oh, do you want to see the pictures that I took? Or invite me to one of your schools and let's go walk around and I'll show you the problems. Okay, so that really doesn't happen all the time. But anyway, um, hopefully that explains more about answering the question.
Oh, it did very well, very well. And so that might be good follow up to this next question that's come in, which is which infrastructure systems pose the greatest safety risk today if they continue to be neglected?
Okay, so here's something. Based on the 2025 report, if we look strictly at the grades, we're talking about stormwater and transit receive the lowest grades, which is D. Okay, so stormwater is a infrastructure that every time it rains, there's a lot of rain. Like recently in Hawaii, we had the Kona low and inundated with so much water. Where does the water go? Right? It has to go some. So the Alawai was almost like breaching, was almost overflowing um, because the water level was too high. The transit system needs improvement. We're talking about buses and trains and things like that. Um, Also, the roads, energy, schools, dams, levees, aviation, wastewater were also among the categories in D, but they got D plus, which is little better than a D. Um, but I wouldn't look at one category and simply say, well, this is the most dangerous over the other one. Each system has different risks and different consequences when something goes wrong. So that's why it's better to look at multiple categories as a whole rather than identifying like just a separate one. But sometimes for funding purposes you identify one more than the other. So um, there's probably more information, but what the report basically tells us is that there's several areas where continued maintenance, investment, long-term planning are very important. So the bottom line is we gotta do a little better job, I think. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Lance. So next up here is how does aging infrastructure affect homeowners and property owners directly?
Well, think about your house, right? If you don't fix let's say your house is 80 years old and you never fix your electrical or plumbing. Basically, that's beyond its useful life. So now's the time to pay attention and to get stuff fixed. I wouldn't wait until something breaks before you fix it. So sometimes we think of infrastructure as something that only government agencies need to worry about. But homeowners depend on it every day. So if you don't worry about electrical or your internet or cable, how are you watching your television? Are you using a digital format? Are you depending on cable? Is it a fiber thing? I mean, that's a concern too, right? The road you drive on, the water coming into your home. What happens when you flush your toilet? Where does the wastewater go when it leaves your property, right? The electrical grid, stormwater systems, all around your community, not only your neighborhood, but expand outside. So, like East Oahu, we're not talking about only Hawaii Kai. We're talking about maybe Kahala all the way to Hawaii, which includes Ainahaina, New Valley, Kuli'o'o, and so forth. So when when these major systems need repairs or upgrades, they can be problematic because what happens when your electricity gets turned off because it's upgrades, right? You lose power or you don't have any water. So it's a whole community issue. So that's something to be aware of. So, when you have time, maybe you want to take a look at the study and, see what's going on. And there's also a specific study done by each state. So maybe you're concerned about your own state and you want to kind of look into that. So I would highly advise doing that if you're interested in this topic.
Okay, very very good, Lance. And you just brought up something I was thinking. Is is the report? Does it also break down by state, grade the states in all these different items, or I guess I haven't really looked at the details of this report. So
Yeah, yeah. There's information by state, and there's also a separate report. Each state actually does kind of similar to this, um, but then you might have to go to each department to get the information. So uh, I would rely on this report, and then further drill down to the specific state and see how much data you can get. Because when the engineers are compiling information, they're compiling it by state and city, and then it goes into this whole report, which includes the entire United States. So there's specific data you can get specific to uh, the state and cities. So I would try and, if you're interested, look specifically for that data.
okay, okay. We have one more question here, and it is: what are the risks of continuing to delay long-term infrastructure investment?
Well, one of them is you're going to have things falling apart. So if you don't invest money into repair and maintenance, guess what? It's like any building or structure. Eventually, it starts falling apart. So the example would be someone moves out of a house, a single family house. Okay, they go, you know what? I'm moving to the mainland. I don't like living here anymore. I'm just going to leave the house, and no one lives in the house. What happens? Weeds start growing in the yard. The paint starts flaking off. Um, Termites come in. Wood rot. The roof starts leaking. Things happen like that. So the problem doesn't disappear, right? Maintenance can be deferred, but eventually the system has to be still repaired, replaced, or fixed in some manner. So in some cases, preserving infrastructure while it's still in fair condition can cost way less than waiting until you got to replace the whole component, right? So that's always uh, a concern, right? So the study estimates that getting the entire infrastructure of the United States into a state or condition of good repair would require about $9.1 trillion over 10 years. I can't even figure out how much that is. Okay, so the at the current projected investment levels, they estimate 3.7 trillion investment gap. So the bottom line is there's not enough money to fix everything. Okay, that's known already. And I don't even have to tell you that. Just call up your government official and say, how come the roads aren't fixed? Oh, no money. How come, like, every time there's heavy rain, we got streams that are overflowing and backing up and all this stuff. Well, we don't have any money, so it's all the money issue. But when you think about it, so for me, the lesson is pretty simple. We need to think long term, inspection, maintenance, planning, time investment, important parts of keeping the infrastructure reliable. Now, I'm going to switch gears now and talk about a condo building. Okay? A condo building is required by law, especially in Hawaii, to have a reserve study done, maintain the property. The board has a fiduciary duty to repair and maintain the property. Okay? Fix stuff, in other words. Not kick the can down the road and not say, oh, we don't have money, so that's why we're not fixing it. So it's pretty common when unit owners, apartment owners that belong to a condo association say, hey, how come like we're not fixing these things? We got concrete spalling, the building needs to be painted, we need to upgrade our fire alarm system. How come these things aren't being done? Oh, the simple answer is we have no money. Is that an acceptable answer for a condo association? No. The acceptable answer is we have to get the money and we're going to get those things fixed. Well, how are you going to get the money? Well, we're going to get it out of you, right? Either increase the maintenance fee, which is almost 99% of the time does not work for major capital improvement projects when you're talking millions of dollars, right? So there's only two other options. Either a bank loan for construction projects, capital improvement projects, or a special assessment. Nobody wants to hear those two words, special assessment. But it has to be done. If that's the case, it has to be done. Look at what happened to the Florida building, Surfside, that collapsed because they had $15 million worth of needed work. They didn't have the money and they kind of didn't know what to do, floundering around, right? Oh, we got people in fixed incomes and they can't pay and all that. But there's nothing in the condo law that says if unit owner can't pay, you don't have to bill them for it. Unfortunately, that's how it is. So, same thing with America's infrastructure or whatever state you're in, right? Things got to be fixed all the time. Monitored, inspected, repaired, maintained, or replaced. Now, let's talk about the rest of the world. I know this report was only for the United States, but if we travel to other parts of the world, every country should follow the same format. It doesn't matter what country you're from, if you're not from the United States, right? Your country has to do the same thing, right? If you don't, things are going to be falling apart. And I've been to countries where they never maintain their property, and it was like a third world country. Martin, you guys traveled all over the world. You've probably seen a lot of stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
So that's my message today. Let's be aware. Let's be cognizant of these major capital improvement projects, the infrastructure, and we're talking millions and millions of dollars that needs to go in. And although, well, government's responsible, but who's paying, right? We're all going to pay. So hopefully, that's a good message that we're giving today. Any other last words, Martin, before we sign off?
Well, actually, Lance, I was thinking the same thing about the HOA fees and all this. You were talking. I was wondering. So the condos require maintenance fees. So where's the maintenance fees for the state, all the state infrastructure? I mean, it's basically that's what it is. You need to build those reserves, right, in order, or have some reserve someplace in order to be able to take care of it. So to me, it's almost like you can't own anything unless you get a maintenance fee.
Yeah,
Or,
that's right. So the
and you
maintenance fee.
save it. The thing is, it's got to be a maintenance fee that you don't touch and use it for other stuff. You got to
Oh, that
preserve it. Yeah.
doesn't happen. But
Yeah,
you're talking
exactly.
about the maintenance fee. So you know what the maintenance fee in this whole infrastructure is called? It's a three-letter word called tax.
Tax.
That's what it
Exactly.
is, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You're right.
So
But yeah, no, that's well, to my message. Yeah, don't own it if you can't maintain it.
yeah, that's it. All right. Well, we're looking like we're out of time, and thank you everybody for watching, listening, attending. Um, Sign up for the next one, and we'll hope to see you there. Aloha, mahalo.